Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our show. We call it Tournament Horse Racing. Uh, Here's what we've done. We're going to go ahead and take the horse racing calendar. We've broken it up into four separate horse racing tournaments throughout the year. Each one of those tournaments consists of, it consists of 10 individual racing days, and that's what you're watching tonight. It's one of those individual racing days, and a racing day consists of four races from one of the select racetracks around the country. And what we do is we place a mythical $2 win place bet on each of those races. Whoever wins the most money wins that day's tournament. Whoever wins the most money over those 10 racing days wins that tournament individually. We actually keep track all the way throughout the year, so we'll have a year-end champion as well. You're watching a race or a tournament that's within what we call the summer stakes. We're headed out to Monmouth Racetrack. It's in Oceanport, New Jersey. Uh, my name is Rich Sharp. I'll be your host for tonight's activities. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our racing analyst. It's in no particular order. He lives a little bit to the south of me. He's in Temecula, California. Joe English, how's life been treating you, my friend?
Doing well, Rich. No complaints, other than it being a little warm out in the IE. A little toasty, but
Boy,
it's summer. It is what it is.
yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Up in the cross corner up there from me, I'm looking at Steve Newsom. He lives in Menifee, California. Also a good friend of mine. He's player number 2 tonight. How you doing, Steve?
Oh, not bad. I'm hanging in there. I'm alive.
Yeah, nice to see you, man. Finally, all the way across the country on the other side of the country for us in Staten Island, New York. Again, a good friend of mine, and he's our player number 3 for tonight. That's Ray Torado. Ray, good to see you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you guys. How you doing? I've been spending most of this week in my pool, and it's been hot, so had a trip to Atlantic City, so I kept the casinos open, so
Yeah, no, it's the
I
middle
paid
of,
their bill.
yeah, it's the middle of July, right? It's hot in New York. It's hot in
Um,
California.
yeah,
It's hot everywhere.
yeah.
It's a scorcher.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen just in a second here, but without that, I'm gonna go ahead and just give a little disclaimer here that Ray and Joe and Steve and myself, we're all horse players. We enjoy the game of horse racing. We do this show on a weekly basis just for the fun of it. And the four of us are nothing more than horse players. We're not endorsing our picks. We're also not selling you the information that's on here tonight. We just enjoy the game of horse racing. We really hope that you do too. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen with you. And on the screen share, I will start off by showing you exactly what happened. Well, not with Lucky Charms, although God, may they're magically delicious. Let's go ahead and begin with what happened last week here on Tournament Horse Racing. And as you see there, Joe English, that's the second week in a row we've seen someone put up. That's kind of a big number with just four races, $2 win place. I believe in the text message. To quote you, you're marked in every single frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bowling term. But make sure you give Ray credit for the win in the last race as well. Remember, if I
Oh
know
yeah.
this was not discussed on the show, but Ray, that was the horse that scratched, and Ray had scratched into the one. So make sure.
I apologize. Let me
Oh,
go ahead.
thank
Let me
you.
let me go ahead and fix that because that actually makes a big difference. That puts Ray into second place. Thank you, Joe. I totally missed that. Again, you hear Joe kind of quoting under the fact that we just go ahead and text each other when there are scratches that were in that race. I will cop to the fact I got ill last week. So last week, just after our show, I ended up with some kind of a stomach virus, and for the entire weekend, I was down in bed. I may have missed those text messages. So congratulations to Joe for his victory, but nice job by Ray to go ahead and pick up that one as well. And as you see there, the check mark goes next to Joe's name. That's the highlighted number. The one that you get there at the very bottom indicates that Joe did indeed win this week's tournament. And as you see there, it did not change the order of things, but it certainly changes the amounts. With Joe and Ray each having won one of their contests. Ray pulling back within $9 there. But congratulations to Joe for winning last week, and me and Steve just kind of chugging along down there. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna reiterate
Get along. That's
that we are headed right back out to, well, this is actually even closer to Ray because we're going to Oceanport, New Jersey today. And, I swear I would have predicted it was like, well, what's the weather going to be like? It's like probably hot and humid and unbearable, but it doesn't. it actually doesn't look very bad there for July the 22nd. It says sunshine and clouds mixed. It's a high of 83 degrees, and the winds are at 10 to 15 miles an hour. And I saw that the humidity looks like it was at about, maybe like 61%. That doesn't seem all that bad to me, as far as Oceanport, New Jersey on July 22nd. Sounds actually horrible if you live in Southern California at this point in your life. just, just,
That's
The
61%
humidity,
humidity.
the humidity is there, so
It
just
does
to be,
make a difference.
just to be
you'll be
clear.
sweating.
Yeah, no, we perspire like crazy, but usually it's 100%, 110. All right, so here we go. We are going out to Monmouth Racetrack. It is, again, it's in Oceanport, New Jersey. Ray, what, like 45-minute hour train ride for you to get there?
Driving 45 minutes, 38 miles.
Yeah.
But actually, if you leave on a Saturday afternoon, it might take you about 2 hours to go down there. Gonna get a lot of Jersey Shore traffic, so
Yeah,
it will be bumper to bumper. So
sounds like a lot of Southern
I think
California.
the local Route 9 would be the option to go, and
All
that
right.
might be quite too with shopping.
For our tournament tonight, we're doing a
Mm.
4 race sequence. It's going to begin in race 9. It concludes in race number 12 with the Haskell Stakes. But race number 9, the starting race here, is going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. It is the Wolf Hill Stakes. Purse is $100,000. It's for 3-year-olds and upward. Your morning line favorite is in post number 7. It's Nothing Better. Excuse me. I sort of apologize for the scrolling there. Trained by Jorge Duarte and ridden by Luis Suarez. Nothing Better is 3-1 on the Monmouth morning line. We are actually going to start. For those of you who get sick of hearing me talk, I apologize. This is just one of those. We rotate who goes first and things like that. So this is one of those weeks that I go first. And I started off with number 9. The horse is named Forhap, trained by Robert Reed and ridden by Paco Lopez. If you look there, they've got a nice combination together. These two hit at 33% together. Oops. And Reed has a decent win percentage, 17% so far in this year. And you see his numbers there as shipper, non-graded stakes, and third off the left. These are all decent numbers as well. So even though I don't know all that much about Monmouth, I live over here on the West Coast. I do know something about the New York circuit, but this is a little bit out of my league. And then this horse does kind of fit a little bit of our three broke guys angle. Did win back, winning an optional claimer for non-winners of 2. Came right back off that, did not perform so well in a dirt race, and then comes back again on the turf, wins again in a non-winners for 1 there at Parks, and then goes back to Laurel in the Laurel Dash, wins that race at 5-1. And this is one of those 5.5 furlong dashes. It's going to be a mad scramble up there. If I'm not mistaken, when I went to the back page, yeah, they've raced 11 times, and 100% of the time, the winner comes right from the front. So whoever gets there first is likely the winner in this particular race to start it off. I chose to go with the 9. I'm kind of interested to see what my colleagues have here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm passing to my left, which means that Steve Newsom is going to go next, and you're handing off to Ray.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the 2, Midday Image.
And again, for those of you who are watching, I apologize. I'm just scrolling really, really quickly. There you go.
Let's Jacobson and Castillo. They've hooked up 7 times and winning at 29%. The horse put up some pretty good speed figures last race. I think shorter distance could help him out a little bit. 1-0 and 8 races at Mount Monmouth. Has won at the distance twice in 3 races. So yeah, I'm going to go with the 2 at 4-1 Midday Image.
Yeah, I think
Ray?
you can. I'm pretty sure you can see by my comment that I was already ahead of you on the comment with that. I like this horse a lot as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ray. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right, no, not a problem. Um, yeah, I'm expecting a very hot pace here. I see a
I
lot of
think
speed
so.
horses in this race, and so I'm gonna go with number 1 on the rail. Eman, Joao Rosario is riding, or Arsenio. This horse came off a slight coming off a layoff. He'd been going long, and last time Gulfstream closed on a really fast pace. Then they laid him off. So I think maybe they're gonna just keep this horse short and should run well fresh. Shouldn't be too far off the lead, maybe a couple lengths. So you got a good position on the rail. So the only problem is that hopefully he'll be able to get some room. And that's the only problem with being on the rail. You got a lot of traffic there. You have to put your turn signal light on and find the lane, and hopefully you get there. But Joe's always a strong finisher, and hopefully we'll get there. At least we're closing to that wicked pace. So Eminon for me, Joe.
All right. Well, I'm back with the favorite. Give me the 7. I'll take nothing better. I'd like nothing better for this horse. Pick 4. Actually, there is a guaranteed pick 4 sequence with these 4 races that we're talking about.
Oh,
And first post is at 4:05 Eastern, 1:05 Pacific. What, Rich? What do you want to add?
no, thank you, Mr. English. I know, I appreciate it. Thank you. I kind of missed that.
Sure, no worries.
Right there.
Yeah, it's funny. Ray mentioned it, and it looks like a lot of the speed are in the middle of the field. It's like from between posts 5 and 9. Pretty much every horse could be on the maybe it's between 6 and 9. Every horse can be on the lead, but looking at nothing better, you see that number 1 where under the ST in that column right next to the post position in the PPs. That means he's on top always. It seems as if he always breaks well. And so I think as Ray mentioned, and Rich had mentioned, that if you get to the front, you do pretty well in this spot. He's also cutting back in distance from a 6 furlong race to a 5.5 furlong race, so that half a furlong will help. He also gets class relief. There's no caravel in this field. There's no big invasion. There's no Casa Creed in this field. So he's not going to have to compete with those guys and gals in Caravel's case. He's got a good local record, 4 wins over the course, including a stakes win in October of 2022 in the Rainbow Air, which is the 3rd race from the bottom in the PPs. And he's actually getting weight from 4 Harp because he hasn't won recently. He's been going up against better horses like Beersham Man and the horses I mentioned earlier. So because of that, he's actually getting weight from the horses that have won, including 4 Harp. He's getting 6 pounds from 4 Harp. So I'm going to take the chance that he's going to be in front, and he'll be speed of the speed. And I like Saez in the saddle. He's obviously very aggressive to begin with, and this horse hopefully he won't even need to be aggressive. He'll just take him right to the front, and he'll go wide or wide. So give me the 7. Nothing better in the Wolf Hill.
All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to enter these in. So for us, so yeah, that's our scorecard, and I'm just going to go ahead and enter those numbers in, and we will go ahead and move along to the second leg of the 4-race sequence. And thank you, Joe, for reminding me that this is actually a pick 4 sequence. So if you want a Monmouth racetrack, there is a pick 4 that is available. I think that starts in that sequence that we just started there. We are on to race number 10. This is a 1.16 on the main surface. It's the Molly Pitcher Stakes. Grade 3. Purse is $500,000 for filly mares and 3-year-olds and upward. Your morning line favorite is there in post number 4, and I believe her name is Search Results, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Joel Rosario. 8-5 on the Monmouth morning line. And after me, so Steve, you're going to go ahead and kick us off here.
Yeah, I like the 6. Loved. It's a Godolphin horse trained by Brendan Walsh, ridden by Tyler Gaffleone. Horse has won its last 3 races pretty easily. Won at the distance, and just had a couple of nice workouts. So yeah, I like the 6. Loved here at 5-1. Right?
Yeah, as you can see, this is a good race. It's grade 3. Some fillies and mares. I went with number 3, distinctly possible. The other Chad Brown horse. Not likely to be the favorite. Such results would be. Um, I know Central is dropping the class, like grade one. She's been running grade ones, but this thing is possible. She looks like she's gonna be a good middle distance horse. She had a local prep last race at the track. She won it, so she's familiar with the track. And I think she'll be able to, stalk the lead and get maybe first or second run. Saez jumps aboard, which I like. He's down there for the card. So I think this is one of those cases where, search results where he did her thing. She's been running in big races. She's the defending champion, but I think she might be turning over her crown to another horse here, younger horse. So this is one of those things where the other Chad Brown, so get a little higher price. So I'll go with distinctly possible in this race. Joe?
Yeah, I'm on the same course rate. Particularly possible for me as well. I like that he's going to be more. She's going to be more prominent probably than search results. So search results is probably going to have to chase her. And again,
Mm.
having Saez in the saddle, something that's going to be fine. If she's aggressive, or whether she's aggressive on her own or he puts her in the race, I think she's going to be probably sitting right off the leaders. And I prefer, like you were saying, prefer that she's the up and comer in Chad Brown's barn. I also like the fact that she ran last time at Monmouth in May, but she's also stayed at Monmouth. So my guess is that they were planning this spot for her the whole time after she won that race. Serena saw last time she ran. So I'm going to stay with the other Chad Brown, if possible. And Rich, I know you're silently stewing because Steve took your horse.
Yeah. So I will use my time to go ahead and for those who are listening, since it's my turn to go, and I'll use my time to go ahead and recognize what I consider to be one of the default sponsors of our show, and that would be Brisnet.com. They call it the Handicapper's Edge, and that's the racing form that you see us use on this show weekly, and you've seen it for now going on 9 years since we actually started doing this show back under a different name. And Brisnet.com, as you see there, if you want, you can go out there and you can sign up for one of their accounts to go ahead and get these forms. Otherwise, there are several services. I know that Ray and I, for one, use Twin Spires. So Twin Spires, if you bet on the races that are at the track. So in other words, like with this one at Monmouth, if you're betting at Monmouth Racetrack tomorrow through twinspires.com, you will go ahead and get these racing forms for free. And Joe already called it. My horse has been picked. That would be number 6, Loved, which is owned by Godolphin, bred by Godolphin, trained by Brendan Walsh, and Tyler Gaffney is riding the horse. If you couldn't figure out that I was going to pick this horse, then you've obviously never met me and didn't watch any of these shows before. The horse also has won 3 in a row and is undefeated at this distance. So I went ahead and went with the 6.
Rich, while you're putting in the picks, I want to
Go
send
ahead.
best wishes out to Jose Ortiz, who actually had Bill today at Saratoga, and apparently, from what I heard, broken ribs, and he didn't ride the rest of the day. And
No.
apparently,
Oh, really? Oh,
maybe it's
no.
not broken ribs, bruised ribs, but what I understand, he's like day to day. Excuse me. So, like I said, just wanted to send our best wishes to Jose Ortiz, even though he has nothing to do with this card because he would have been riding at Saratoga tomorrow anyway. But
No, but he interesting. Like he was like the next bobblehead that was supposed to be added back to this tournament that we have as trophies. But that's what you see behind us, and some of those are the trophies that we've won on these
Oh,
shows.
really?
But Jose Ortiz was supposed to be a bobblehead doll that was on there, and then he ended up getting replaced by John Velasquez, who's back on that back shelf. And they told us that Jose Velasquez would be the next year, and so far he has not come back to because these are some of these were actually they're part of the promotion that goes through Gulfstream Park with the permanently disabled jockey fund. And so that's I was kind of hoping to have Jose Ortiz. He's actually been one of my favorites. As you know, I played Gulfstream almost religiously in the wintertime, and Jose's a big favorite. Back to the tournament tonight. This is going to be leg number 3 out of a 4-race sequence for us. It is race number 11 at Monmouth. They're going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. It is the United Nations Stakes, Grade 1, purse is $600,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. And your morning line favorite is out there in, I believe he's in post number 9. He's an old favorite because he's kind of an old guy. I believe he's been on this show quite a number of times. Red Knight, trained by Michael Maker and ridden by Tyler Gaffleone. 5-2 on the Monmouth morning line, and that means that Mr. Torado, you're kicking us off in the United Nations. It's the building's right there in your backyard, right?
Yeah, United Nations is over there in Manhattan's. This race is a long one, 11 furlongs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't see much in this race that I liked, so I'm just gonna take a shot here. Number 8, Foreign Relations. Well, that's good for United Nations.
Yeah. Oh, right. There we go.
Um,
I like that.
just his horse, he likes to go long. He's got to improve his speed figures, but I think at this distance, it could be he could probably stay close. And like he's been in the last couple starts, stay close and make a first run, second run, whatever. On the leaders, Declan Cannon is pretty good on turf, 25%. He's a shipper, and they come in here and try and grab some money. But this horse is doing well. Last race had a little excuse there. As the favorite, ran against Therapist. Kind of like a week 6 there. Just didn't make much of a, like say, no impact. But things happen, and the 2 other races, are very, pretty good. I mean, he did attract Flavor and Pride at Keeneland, so. But so I'll just take a shot. Get a good price. So if anything, second place would be a good money too. So I think it's just likes the distance, and I want to go against Red Knight. So, but Joe,
It's funny. Ray, you talk about a long race, and when actually, maybe I shouldn't mention it. Being at Haskell, they run the Gold Cup on Wednesday, basically the race of the meet. That race is 2 miles and 4,
oh man,
two and a half miles.
wow.
So if you want a really long race, well, we can discuss that later. I'm taking the favorite. Give me Red Knight. He may have, if you look at his PPs, he obviously was fractious in the gate last time, enough that it was mentioned by the chart caller, and maybe that cost him in the Manhattan. Not exactly sure, but it's possible. He's won at this distance, won the Man of War at this distance 2 starts ago at Belmont, Grade 1, and he beat Soldier Rising to do it. He beat a couple of other horses that came from Europe, from, if I remember right, Charlie Appleby's one, beat them to win that race. And he's actually won 4 times at a mile and a half. So the distance is really not going to phase him. And he's the only domestic Grade 1 winner in the. So he's got the class. The distance is not going to be a problem as long as he's settled down. He doesn't act up, before the race or in the gate. I think he's the horse to beat. So I will take Red Knight, and if I get 5, that's fine by me. Then Rich.
All right. Let's see. I ended up on the 3 horse. I went Catnip. He's trained by Michael Stidham and ridden by Joel Rosario, and as you can indicate by the name, this is a Kitten's Joy, only a 4-year-old. But in his lifetime, he's 4 for 7. If you look here, lifetime record is 4 for 7 so far with 1/3. So a real solid performer who's 2 for 2 at Monmouth. Has never actually raced at this distance before, but is 4 for 7 on the turf lifetime. Um, if you look back here, the horse again, I've got that thing for horses who are on a winning streak. This one has won at a mile, and then won at a mile in the 16th, and won at a mile in the 8th. He's by Kitten's Joy. I don't think this should be a problem for him. And he's got Joel Rosario, so he's got a jockey with some really steady hands. Him and Stidham are not, a known quantity, so to speak. But Michael Stidham is hitting at 29%. He's 2 for 7 so far at this one. And I'm going to highlight Kitten's Joy up here for you as well. And again, the horse kind of fit our pattern here. Came out of the gates, won a maiden special event, and then gets pushed into the Virginia Derby. Didn't do so well there at Colonial Downs, but then has come back off of that and rebounded. one on allowance rates, one on winners for two, and then again one a grade three, which was the Monmouth. Here with Joe Rosario board. So my choice here is the three. I went with Ketnam. Steve.
All right. I'm going with the 6, Planetario. Trained by Richard Mandela, ridden by Mike Smith. 3-1. This horse is the distance is definitely not going to be a problem. Actually, even though the horse has never ran at this distance, has won his last race out at 1 3/4 though. So
Oh my God,
the,
14.
the horse trains at 1.125 miles.
Look at the sire.
That's
Look
the
at the
highest.
sire. Look at the sire stats.
That's the highest I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
That's
on the
I
6th
know.
of May, the horse trained at 1.125 miles.
Oh my goodness.
So this is no problem. Yeah. But yeah, I think this horse could maybe pull up an upset and beat the favorite. So I'm gonna go with Planetario here.
I just gotta say, I'm with
Joe, you gotta do some research on this sire here,
yeah,
Doge.
I'm
And
with
what races he been running? Because the
I'm
average
with.
win distance is 14
Is
furlongs.
that like in Saudi Arabia or something? I
It's
mean,
like
is he like racing
they went
across the desert?
3 miles.
Brazil.
Uh,
What a couple
I
of
mean,
great
if you guys
ones.
want, if you want to, I can pull. I can pull it up after we're off.
Yeah, that's the
That was the
average.
highest I've ever seen ever. I tell you,
Let's just,
14
yeah,
miles.
yeah.
Average win distance.
Let's not forget that the A here stands for average. That's the average win
Yeah,
distance.
average.
Well,
What's
being that he's from Brazil, I don't know how much DRF is going to be able to have, so I can pull it. Doug.
Oh my goodness. Bred to go long.
I can.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Give me a 2-miler.
He'd be running.
Wow.
He'd be running in the Gold Cup at Haskell. There you go.
Yeah.
Might be too short. It might be a sprint for him. Short.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to flip over here so you guys can see. Let me just make sure I get these numbers in here correctly for you. And oops. And we're going to move along to our feature race here. And that's the feature race also as well at Monmouth tomorrow. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the feature race across the country. This is a win and you're in race as far as the Breeders' Cup Classic. So the winner of this race will actually receive an automatic invitation to the Breeders' Cup Classic this year, which, if I'm not mistaken, is at Santa Anita Racetrack back here in our backyard here in California. It is race number 12. They're going 1.125 miles. It is the TVG.com Haskell Stakes. Grade 1. Purse is $1 million for 3-year-olds. Your morning line favorite is out there in post number 8, and yeah, he's trained by that guy, Bob Baffert, ridden by John Velasquez, that guy right here next to him, and that is Arabian Night is 5-2 on the Monmouth morning line. And for people who are wondering what I'm pointing at, there's a couple of bobbleheads. So in the middle there is John Velasquez, he's the jockey, and then over in the corner with the sunglasses and the blazer and everything else is Bob Baffert. Horses 5-2 on the morning line. And Joe English, look who gets to go first in the grade 1, the win and you're in. It's you. Like,
Oh boy, it is actually a fascinating race. Even though there's only 8, a couple horses that have been in Triple Crown, a few horses that have not been in the Triple Crown, and they're testing their mettle against the best. Um, it's a tough decision. It's a tough race. And the other thing about it is there are also 3 horses in the race that were purchased at sale for over $1 million. Arabian Night with the other 2. Now I'm looking at it. Arabian Night, Extra Anejo, and Tapatrice were all over $1 million at sale. I'm actually going to go with the Derby winner. Give me Mage. He's got some time off since the Preakness, which obviously didn't go as well as anybody wanted it to. Finish 3rd, which is respectable, nothing terrible. But I also like the fact that because Tapatrice always seems to break poorly, he's going to get first run on Tapit Price no matter what the case. And at Monmouth, Ray knows it as much as anybody. Speed, again, it's a dirt track in America. Speed, positional speed
It's
trumps closing speed. So he should have that. The only thing that you're worried about, and everybody in the race who isn't going to be in the top two early has to worry about is that Arabian Night just gets away. We've got to hope that Extra Anejo at least puts some pressure on him early, makes him work some, so that he's at least a little bit vulnerable stretch. But Mage is, he's won a grade one, he's finished second in a grade one, he's finished third in a grade one. He's accomplished probably more than everybody else in this field, and he's going to be the second choice. And honestly, given the fact that Todd Pletcher's sending Papa Trice in there, and he's this big New York connection, it's possible that the Derby winner could be the third choice in this race.
yeah.
Again, it's possible. I don't know for sure. We'll see how it goes, because the Derby winner usually commands respect, but because he didn't run so well in the Preakness, maybe the luster is off. And the other thing that concerns me is that the owner and trainer have already said that basically this is really not target. The target is the Trappers. This is really a prep race for this horse. So I'm still going to take him anyway. I think he's probably better than everybody in this field. At least he's shown more than everybody else in the field has so far. So I'll take the 3-1 and maybe me. Rich.
Wow. Figures. Boy, I was torn between these two, Mage and Tapit Trice. These are two horses we've actually watched all year, so we've seen both of them kind of go out throughout the year. I was leaning towards Mage. I'm going to go ahead and give us a little bit of diversity, though, so I'll go ahead and split apart. I will go ahead and go with Tapit Trice, who actually has been my pick on this show on a number of occasions. The one clunker that he had, or I shouldn't say was even a clunker, that's the Kentucky Derby, the one that Joe's talking about, that Mage one. He is a closer. He has a tendency to get himself into early trouble, but not so bad. I think it's a little bit overstated as far as he's concerned. And as you see there, he can really put up some big speed figures. He was a three horse, or he won 3 races in a row, I should say, non-winners of one, and then he won the Tampa Bay Derby, and then he won the Bluegrass. He kind of had ran into trouble there, and then Kentucky Derby, and then comes right out of that and finishes third in the Belmont Stakes. So the horse is quality. He's got a lot of skill. I think Joe might be right. I believe that he could end up going off higher than the Kentucky Derby winner. He's trained by Todd Pletcher. It's got Luis Saez. There's a lot of connections there that are going to make you think this is a particular horse that people are going to jump on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go with the 5, even though I think my initial pick was the 4. I'm going to go ahead and hand off to Steve.
All right, I'm going with the favorite here, the 8 Arabian Night, trained by Bob Baffert, ridden by Johnny Vasquez. Of course, they won. Well, there's only 3 races here, 67%.
Yeah.
But that's probably not too far off. No.
Bob Baffert just like owns this race, right?
This horse won its last 2 races and really hasn't been challenged. And it's again, I don't know why I gravitate on some of these longer workouts when you have horses.
Yeah, no, you're right though. This horse, exactly. The horses only had those 2 races. One was in November and one was in January, so we haven't seen it in a while. But it's like, yeah, arguably he's been racing. It's just at the training track with Bob Baffert.
Right.
7 furlong workouts, and
so he's keeping them in shape.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the 8 here, the favorite, Arabian Night. Ray?
Yeah, if you have Googled the Haskell for the last 15 years,
yeah, right.
you're gonna see the same
You're
story
gonna see
every time. Every time.
one damn name.
Speed horse by Baffert goes out there and wins it. Wow. I tell you, he's amazing. I tell you. But I'm gonna try and beat him. I'm also on Tapit Trice, and the reason why I picked Tapit Trice over Mage, you know, I liked him a little bit too, but I honestly think that Tapit Trice might actually try. I mean, in my opinion, might try and get the first run. Just only because of the way Size rode him in the Bluegrass, where he had to go out there and and Chase verifying, and he actually collared him in the final like 16th. And those two, they were like two speed horses going at it, and he wore him down. So based on that ride, I think Type Church might have enough speed to try and um, catch a tiring, hopefully tiring Arabian Night and Extra Neho, who I think Tyler, being Tyler, and I know Tyler, he's gonna go after him. He's not gonna let Arabian Night go after him. Get away and set a slow pace, whatever, like in the Preakness, and John, got away with National Treasure, and nobody had a chance in that race. Based on the pace. So I think Tyler will go after Arabian Night, make him work, and I think those two, they might separate early, but I think they might come back to Rage and Type of Trice, and then that's when the race starts. So I'll go Type of Trice. I mean, I like to do a race in Belmont too, where Arcangelo's on the rail. Type of Trice had to go wide, and I think that was a difference. He lost ground. He wound up fifth. He closed for third. Between Fortes. So I think this horse has a lot, running him. So I think it's a good distance for him and the style of the race. But I can see Arabian Night just going out there and winging it and going wire to wire. I can see that very possible. So, but we gotta try and beat that. So
All right. Those in. All right, guys, take a look. Just make sure I got your numbers correct. I think I got everybody's. See, 3,
Thumbs
5,
up.
7, 3, 9, 4. Looks good.
Yep, good.
All right,
mm,
I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna go ahead and come on back to you. We're gonna wrap this one up for the night. For those of you who had stayed tuned throughout the evening, we really appreciate that. We appreciate the support. Um, that's how we do it here on Tournament Horse Racing. That's the gist of the tournament. Those are the 4 race sequences. Those are the players. If there are any scratches, we will text each other throughout the day, and that's how we get our replacements in. The results are our show gets posted out there via YouTube. It will also be on Twitter. So we will post that link out via Twitter. You can catch any of the guys there on their Twitter handles out there available for you for Joe English, Ray Newsom, or Ray Torado, and Steve Newsom, or myself. And I think mine is called Zuma Point. But that's how we share our show on a weekly basis. And I'll try and see if I can get some placards up for us that'll show up those digitally, so you guys can see what their Twitter handles are. Anything you guys want to add before we get into this one? Again, this is that first win in your in race for the Breeders' Cup Classic, which lets you know we're getting close. We're getting close to the Breeders' Cup. Joe, what do you got?
Joe's got something.
I want to end on a positive. There was so much negative stuff that went on in racing last week. Well, at least one specific negative, but I'll leave that aside. But I want to say positive things about Oakland Park. Not sure if anybody has seen it or you've seen it, but on social media, they've actually upped the purses for the Southwest, the Rebel, and the Arkansas Derby. Rebel is actually, I think, going to be a $1.25
Wow.
million. I think the Arkansas Derby is going to be $1.5 million. And if
wow.
I recall, the Southwest is going to be like 800K. So my prediction will be you will have 2 divisions of each race next year. Everybody will be after that money.
That's
Like I said,
that's fantastic news, though.
yeah. I mean, I mean, it's not just the points race, but I mean, because no matter what I mean, getting into the Derby is one thing. I mean, if you finish fifth, that extra boost of that person is going to make a difference. The horse that finishes fifth, who really doesn't belong in the Derby field, but still, it's not. It's going to make a difference, and it's going to be very attractive to outlets other than the usual suspects. The hopefully multiple divisions in those 3 races at Oakland Park next year. That's a positive. Give them kudos.
What do you got, Ray?
I just want to say kudos to Monmouth Park for moving the Haskell to Saturday. They can get more attention, better ratings, hopefully, and they can be in the spotlight of Saturday, which is where all the good steak races happen. So my hats off to them. They usually have it on Sunday on a family fun day, and I guess they want to draw the crowd. But hats off to them for putting on Saturday and joining the main steak schedule, which is on Saturdays.
Heck yeah.
NBC is going to be there tomorrow, if I
Yeah,
recall.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big deal.
and I hope to be there. If I make it for the pick four, I'll be happy. That's when my bankroll is going to go on the pick four. So
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Tournament Horse Racing. For Ray Torado and Joe English and Steve Newsom, my name is Rich Sharp. Or again, our show's called Tournament Horse Racing. We'll see you guys again next week. But if you're playing tomorrow, hey, good night, everybody, and good luck.
Look at the
You
races.
guys.
Good night, all.
good night.